To win over Victoria, the penniless campus belle, and heir to a powerful clan, Arthur burned through cash for more than half a year. He simped so hard it could have shaken heaven and earth, yet when he finally plucked this unattainable goddess, disaster struck. At her birthday party, she splashed a whole bottle of red wine on him, all because of her childhood sweetheart. Before he could recover from the mix of shock and rage, a string of bullet comments materialized in midair. Nicely done. After her rebirth, the heroine is here to dish out brutal payback on the vicious male supporting role. In her last life, he drove the male lead to suicide. This time it's his turn. Serves him right. He bullied the male lead. Going bankrupt and dying was letting him off easy. As if to confirm the comments, Victoria shot him a look of contempt, cradling Kenji. She said tenderly, "Kenji, don't be afraid of him. He's just flashing a bit of filthy money. What's so great about that? The more you fear a bully, the more he pushes his luck." But then Kenji shoved Victoria aside and cried out, "How can you show Arthur such disrespect? Arthur, if I get that money, I'll do whatever you say. I'm willing to work myself to the bone for you. Honor you the way I honor my own father. I know this is shameless, but I want that money so badly. I even dream of finally getting ahead." The next second, Arthur swung his arm in a full arc and slapped him. Rubbing his stinging palm, he sneered, "Get ahead, ah? Seems you can't even figure out your place. I've got 2 headstones here. Want one?" Chapter 1. Sticky liquor slid down my expensive suit. My so-called girlfriend, Victoria, had just put down an empty bottle. 2 minutes ago, in a corner no one cared about, Kenji stood in front of me, disheveled and covered in dust, his smile twisted and gloomy, his voice squeezed through gritted teeth, every word laced with resentment as he said, "Arthur, people really are different, ah. We were born on the same day, yet just because you have money, everyone only remembers you. Sometimes I really envy you. So today, I've prepared a big gift for you." With that, he grabbed a wine bottle and smashed it hard against his own head. The sound of the bottle shattering caught everyone's attention. The next second, he collapsed to the ground, blood streaming from his head. The first one to rush over was Victoria. When she saw what happened, without a word, she grabbed a bottle of red wine and splashed it all over me from head to toe. I stared at Victoria in disbelief. The dark red stains ruined the birthday party I had so carefully prepared, like a jarring scar cutting through the celebration. I had planned to publicly announce our relationship tonight. I even prepared an expensive gift and a surprise for her. But now Victoria was holding on to Kenji, clinging to him like a lover reunited after a brush with death, her eyes filled with pain and longing. My hands trembled violently, not just from rage or humiliation, but because suddenly, bright red lines of text began scrolling in front of my eyes. They were bullet comments. They read, "Nice job. The female lead finally sees through the vicious male supporting role after reincarnating. Karma. In the last life, he drove the male lead to suicide. This time, it's his turn. Serves him right. He bullied the male lead. Even bankruptcy and death would be too easy for him." And another comment said, "Poor male lead baby. If the male supporting role hadn't stolen his scholarship, he wouldn't have ended up like this." I cautiously stepped forward. Victoria, as if trying to validate the absurd bullet comments, glared at me with contempt and leaned even closer to Kenji, holding onto his arm. She said, "Kenji, don't be afraid of him. He's just flaunting his dirty money, so what? The more you fear a bully like him, the more he'll push you around." I stared at Victoria, my hands shaking harder, and growled through clenched teeth, "You're saying I bullied him?" Victoria looked even more disgusted. She snorted coldly, "What else? You think he bashed his own head open for fun?" Kenji gently patted Victoria's hand and then, with perfect timing, lifted his hopeless face. His voice hoarse, he said, "Arthur didn't mean it, honestly. It's my fault for dressing so poorly. I just got back from delivering food and didn't have time to freshen up. I must have embarrassed Arthur. I'm sorry, Arthur. I just really wanted to come celebrate your birthday." He sighed and added, "Victoria, don't speak up for me. If Arthur needs to vent, let him. I've always known people like us from the bottom of society aren't welcomed by people like him. I'm used to it." Whispers and murmurs buzzed all around. For the first time, I heard every malicious word so clearly. Someone muttered, "Just because he has some dirty money, he thinks he's better than everyone." Another added, Prince Arthur has always been this arrogant. He chased after Victoria for so long and tore her apart from her childhood sweetheart, but she's still thinking about Kenji. Of course he can't take it. Someone else chimed in. Still, that's no excuse to bully someone. Kenji looked at me, slowly raised his hand, and placed it around Victoria's shoulder. Then he mouthed silently to me. Arthur, what can you even do to me? Chapter 2. I stared straight at Victoria. She had clearly heard the whispers all around us, yet she showed not even a sliver of trust in me. She simply glared at me with hatred, as if I had committed some unforgivable sin, exactly like the vicious male supporting role from the bullet comments. Could it be? The bullet comments were real? My heart plummeted. I had chased after Victoria for a whole year, throwing money at her, putting in effort, doing everything a simp would do without missing a beat. From my brothers not understanding to the whole school making fun of me, Victoria never once wavered. My friend Benjamin had once scolded me in frustration. She's never boldly asked you for anything. She hasn't sold your gifts for cash. So technically, she's not a gold digger. But her heart's clearly still with that poor childhood sweetheart of hers. Why are you still clinging to this mess? You're just making yourself a joke. Of course I knew all about Victoria and Kenji's childhood sweetheart story. It was all over campus. I couldn't help it. I really liked this one because of her nature of emerging from the mud unstained, because she always claimed she didn't like anyone, kept her feelings clean, unlike her mother, a kept canary who took shortcuts by clinging to rich men. Victoria believed in changing her life through hard work and study, not by selling herself. I was completely infatuated with that belief. So, even 3 days ago when Victoria approached me with her mother's sky-high credit card debt in hand, her tone awkward and strange, I agreed without hesitation. I even thought she was being filial and innocent. It never crossed my mind that this was already a betrayal of everything I had admired about her. That have your cake and eat it too attitude, spending someone else's money while acting like it's justified, pretending to be a kept woman yet preaching independence. That was exactly what I despised most. I wiped the wine out of my eyes like clearing the fog from my vision. My fingertips were ice cold. If the bullet comments were telling the truth, she had reincarnated, and she was going to take revenge on me, bankrupt me, ruin me. For what? Just because she's the protagonist, and I'm the vicious male supporting role? Just because I liked her? I deserve all this. All my rage exploded in my chest like a bomb. Screw that unreachable goddess. Screw that pure flower on a high mountain act. The next second, smack. A crisp, thunderous slap sliced through the gossiping noise. The force sent Victoria's pretty face snapping to the side, leaving a blazing red hand print across her cheek. The whole room went dead silent. I didn't even pause. I grabbed a bottle of open champagne from the nearby table and poured it all over Victoria and Kenji's heads. What the hell? Have you lost your damn mind? Their shrieks cut through the silence. I rubbed my burning palm and casually scratched my ear. Facing the stunned crowd, I let out a cold chuckle and said, Get ahead, huh? Seems you can't even figure out your place. I've got 2 headstones here. Want one? Chapter 3. Bullet comments popped up. What the fuck? Isn't the male supporting role supposed to be head over heels for the female lead? Why is he going off script? Another chimed in. Gotta admit, I kind of like the way he snaps. No wonder the female lead lost to him in the past life. She had no chance. She deserved it. The freezing wine made Victoria shudder. It was as if she was finally snapped back to reality. She stared at me in disbelief, clutching her swollen cheek, biting her lip, and cried out, Arthur, you hit me. How could you bring yourself to hit me? I smirked. How could I not? I stepped closer, aggressive. With a backhand slap, I hit her again. Still not satisfied, I swung both ways, left and right, making it perfectly symmetrical. Then I shouted, Didn't your mom teach you the rules of being a kept canary when she was one herself? I originally wanted to emerge from the mire unstained, but ended up addicted to playing in the mud. You took my money, lived off me, even used my cash to pay off your mom's debts, and now you dare throw a tantrum. Filthy woman, dying to get yourself killed. Kenji raised a shaking hand and shouted, Arthur, how could you humiliate someone like this? Smack. I gave him a slap too, not even looking. You think I forgot about you? I was too busy slapping her. You think I bullied you? You better pray I actually did, because starting today, bullying you won't be so easy. I'll make you understand what it means when life feels like two slaps, one from the left and one from the right. He says I bullied him into suicide in a past life. What a joke. I'm not the kind of lunatic who drives people to death, especially not someone who's inferior to me in every way from academics to family background. What right did Kenji have to make me bow my head to talk to him? Even if he was Victoria's childhood sweetheart, I'd never spared him a glance. But he was always whining about his poor circumstances, whispering behind my back that I only succeed because I have connections. Complete bullshit. From national scholarships to academic competitions, not a single one was rigged by the Arthur family. I cracked my knuckles and said, "You all heard that, right? If any of you feel sorry for this kept canary and her poor little sweetheart, you can bear witness for me today. I was after her looks, she was after my money. Fair deal." I shrugged. Consider this past year's expense as a gift. But from now on, no more gossip behind my back. You can be blind, but don't be brain dead. Got it. The crowd fell completely silent. As always, it was my best bro who reacted first. Benjamin shoved Kenji aside and happily dragged me away, grinning. Now that's more like it. I told you Victoria's star sign clashes with yours. Simps never have a good ending. I lifted my foot, ready to walk away, but the bullet comments exploded faster than Victoria could. Wait, he's leaving. That's not right. What about the black card he was going to give the female lead at the party? Without that startup cash, how are the FL and ML supposed to flip their fortunes with stock trading? This is the perfect moment to buy in. Another comment read, "Not a big deal. The male supporting role is whipped for her. Just wait, he'll be crawling back any second now." I glanced at the bullet comments, took the towel Benjamin handed me, and roughly wiped my face and hair. My suit was completely ruined. I yanked off the jacket, wrung it into a ball, and casually wiped my leather shoes with it before tossing it to the floor. I stomped my shoes twice, then said in a low and steady voice, enunciating every word, "I'll have your secondary card canceled before tonight's over. Pack up your personal trash and get the hell out of my villa." Victoria's eyes turned red. She looked at me with disbelief, humiliation, and resentment. All of it condensed into a single sentence, calm yet defiant. "Fine. I won't take another cent from you, Arthur. Don't you dare regret this." She stood there with the same cold pride, like a plum blossom blooming stubbornly in the dead of winter. Still, that image I once found so captivating. Benjamin scoffed. "What's there to regret? You really think you're something? With Arthur's status, he can have any girl he wants. Arthur, let's change clothes and take the party elsewhere. Don't let this ruin your mood." My treat. "Who's in?" The crowd swarmed around us, following me and Benjamin. No one spared Victoria or Kenji another glance. I clapped Benjamin on the shoulder in gratitude. He smiled at me and said, "That's what brothers are for." Benjamin had seen it. People are made of flesh and blood. No matter how tough I seemed, that year I gave everything I had. How could I not be disappointed? Chapter 4. Inside a luxurious Japanese-style hot spring resort, Benjamin and I sat in front of a massive crystal floor-to-ceiling window, gazing down at the mountains glowing like emeralds. The freshly flown delicacies from the mountains and sea still glistened with moisture. Bullet comments floated into view. The male supporting role only sulked for a week and doesn't seem like he's going to look for the female lead. Is that right? Ugh, our poor FL baby is suffering. The male supporting role is so heartless. He cut off her secondary card, and now she's working 3 jobs a day to pay off her mom's debts. She's been surviving on porridge for 3 days. It's just dirty money anyway. Let the male supporting role enjoy himself while he can. Once our Queen FL turns the tables, it'll be his turn to suffer. Benjamin waved his hand in front of my face. He asked, "What's up? You look like hell. Don't tell me you're still hung up on Victoria." One hand stroked my chin, the other tapped slowly on the tabletop. Benjamin visibly shivered. He frowned. That expression, he probably recognized it. It was the same look I had that year when I crushed my useless older brother and seized control of the family assets. Unsettling. Before he could speak, I suddenly broke into a genuine smile. I said, "Benjamin, didn't your cousin just return from abroad? If I remember right, she specializes in biology." Yeah, his eyes lit up. "My cousin said she wanted to meet you, actually. She's really into your story. Always admired how you took over the family business at such a young age." I replied, "Well, I'm really into her too. Interested, that is, in her biology research. These bullet comments rolling directly across my retina. Was this some kind of VR tech or bioelectrical signal manipulation? If I could decode the technology, could I make money off it? Benjamin laughed. So you finally moved on? I nodded. Yeah, they're throwing mud at me. I might as well plant flowers in it. He blinked at me, totally confused. I handed him a business card, looking cryptic and profound. I want to meet your cousin. Bullet comments popped up again. What the hell is he mumbling about? Like some cryptic philosopher. Can't get the FL's love, so he's just pretending to move on, trying to use another girl to provoke the female lead. She's not going to fall for that. I stared at the rolling bullet comments and slowly, ever so slowly, I smiled. A chilling, razor-edged smile. Love isn't something you can forget overnight, but time can dull it. The only thing I'll never forget. Myself and my interests. Those are eternal. With contempt, I raised my glass, then downed the amber liquor in a single steady gulp. Chapter 5. I arranged to meet Benjamin's cousin on a Saturday at a cafe. The girl sat across from me, dressed simply but with an elegant air. A white blouse with a butterfly bow tie paired with a high-waisted blue skirt. The ensemble made her appear soft and refined. The faint scent of medical alcohol on her seemed to wash away the sticky residue of my past week. I nodded slightly to her and reached out to shake hands. I got straight to the point. Hello, Miss Sue. I'm a friend of Benjamin's, and I assume he's already told you why I'm here. Let's not waste time. No need for small talk. Miss Sue, is there any technology in the world that could project live text directly onto a person's retina? Anna remained calm as she replied. Sorry, Mr. Arthur. With current carbon-based biological structures and our existing tech level, there's no way to hack someone's neural domain and stream text onto their retinas in real time. I looked at her seriously and said, what if I can actually see it? The bullet comments immediately flared up. What's going on? Is this a glitch? Can the male supporting role see us? So what if he can? What's he gonna do? Punch me through the screen. Anna paused, her eyes flashing with a glint of intrigue, dangerously alluring. She said, then, Mr. Arthur, your brainwaves might be quite worth studying. I took the opportunity to pull out a folder from my briefcase. This, I said, is a recent scan of my brainwaves. And this, I handed over another document, is my business proposal. If we can collaborate and decode this phenomenon, the future potential is immense. You'll enter with technical equity. 15% stake sound fair enough. Anna stared at me for a few seconds, then slowly curled her lips into a smile. You're not afraid at all, Mr. Arthur? I shrugged. I'm a businessman. I may be dumb enough to chase someone for a year, but I'm not dumb enough to lose out on profit. Anna accepted the documents without hesitation. You misunderstood me, Mr. Arthur, she said. I just think you're impressive. Her smile deepened. I'm becoming more and more interested in you. Bullet comments scrolled. Low-dimensional life forms speechless. Two arrogant ants thinking they can touch the sky. The female lead already got a head start after reincarnating, and the vicious male supporting role still doesn't know. Arthur Corp's 2 survival critical investments are about to be stolen, aren't they? Just as that bullet comment appeared, my phone's emergency alert tone rang. My ever-composed executive assistant sounded visibly panicked. President Arthur, President Lin of Lantion Group, just called. He said a college girl named Victoria showed up with a proposal exactly like ours. But sir, it was supposed to be top secret. Chapter 6. Bullet comments rolled in. The vicious male supporting role is panicking now, huh? This rebirth early advantage sweet revenge arc is chef's kiss satisfying. My assistant continued on the phone. That girl, Victoria, she's at our office right now. She said she wants to speak with you. I grabbed my coat, politely excused myself from Anna, and rushed to the company. Inside the elevator heading to the top floor executive office, I lifted my right hand, rotating my wrist up, down, left, right, pondering which angle would maximize the force of a slap. The elevator doors opened slowly. There, on the lounge sofa, Victoria sat with poised elegance. I still remembered just a while ago before she came begging me to pay off her mother's credit card debt. Back then she sat on the Italian full-grain leather sofa in my villa, fidgeting, clutching the hem of her clothes like she didn't belong in this world of luxury, naive and nervous. But now she carried herself with grace and calm confidence. Even dressed in a student-style skirt, Her every movement was steady and self-assured. She scoffed and asked coldly, "Why did you block me?" I held myself back, barely resisting the urge to slap her right then. Instead, I asked, "That's what you came here to say?" "Security." Victoria turned her face back, chin raised defiantly. "No need to call them. I'll leave on my own. You think I wanted to come here?" She looked proud, smug even, like she had finally turned the tables. She said, "Arthur, I'm here to let you know we're going head-to-head with Arthur Corporation. We know your entire plan. Let's see how long you stay untouchable once your little empire collapses." I handed the folder to my assistant, then crooked my finger at her. "Damn right I'm untouchable. How'd you know?" I motioned at her. "That's right. I'm really something." "How did you know?" "Stick your face over here. Forget civil mediation. I'll pay the damages and then land you another slap worth 50 grand. If you behave, I'll throw in an extra 50 grand for emotional damages so your kept canary mom can pay off her credit card." Maxed it out again, hasn't she? Victoria trembled slightly. Clearly, I'd struck a nerve. She glared at me with hatred and took a deep breath. "Arthur, you're always like this, acting high and mighty like you're doing everyone a favor. Get this straight. I'm the one who got your proposal. You should be begging me now." I chuckled, genuinely amused. "Beg who?" "Thank you." I tilted my head, interested. "You've got quite the imagination." If Benjamin had been here, he'd probably say, "Victoria's the last person who tried to threaten me was my brother when we were fighting over the family inheritance. Now the grass over his grave is over 3 meters tall." But Victoria clearly misunderstood my calm demeanor. She looked at me, confused, thinking I was just bluffing. Her expression shifted, nostalgic, conflicted. After a moment, she leaned in, face full of regret and emotion. "Arthur, I know you still like me. You're just mad about what I did that day. But what you did, humiliating me in front of everyone, was too cruel. I never really wanted to destroy you. If you apologize, I could actually forgive you. After all, we were together for so long." I cut her off coldly. "How long? You call 3 days a long time. My patience wore thin. Even if it were 3 years, I added with pointed intent. The moment you threw wine at me for another man, you were already rotting." I raised my hand and rubbed my brow. Victoria instinctively shielded her face, trembling. "You threw wine too," she said shakily. I sneered, "Not enough." Tilting my head, my smile turned frosty. "Do you even realize who you are?" "Who I am." "Don't waste time with your delusions. You want me to regret it?" "Sure, I'm in. Let's go all the way. Now get out." Security yanked Victoria up and dragged her out. Back in my office, I immediately called the Arthur Corporation's legal department. Bullet comments buzzed through the air. "I'm starting to lose track of this plot. Didn't the male supporting role love the female lead? Now he doesn't even care. Not a trace of emotion. So cold. He really lives up to the name, vicious male supporting role. Next wave. What's he doing now? What are you planning?" Half an hour later, I hung up the call. I stared at the bullet comments hanging in the air and gave a cold laugh. "You lot call yourselves higher dimensional beings, and yet you still don't get it." I chuckled lazily. "Obviously, I'm just making a few little preparations, waiting for her to come beg me." Bullet comments flared again. "You're dreaming, and it's not even sunset yet." "Okay, yeah, sometimes you're annoying as hell, but seriously, don't mess with the main character. Ever heard of plot armor, dude? Our FL has luck on her side, divine bonuses and all. Why not just be a stepping stone for the protagonists? You'd still get some benefits that way." "Benefits?" I pressed a fist lightly against my lips, as if I'd just heard the funniest joke in the world. "There's only one cake. If I can eat it all myself, why the hell should I share it? Because she's the female lead?" I narrowed my eyes and said with a smirk, "Then I'm a damn Gary Stew." Chapter 7. 1 month later, still in the top floor office of Arthur Corporation, I raised an eyebrow at Victoria, who sat across from me, disheveled and worn out. She had lost a lot of weight, her face pale and haggard. I glanced at the bullet comments. President Lin of Lantian Group actually rejected the female lead. Sigh, still a man's world. I can understand why the FL had to come crawling back to the vicious male supporting role. That black card and his endorsement mean everything. Next comment asked, "Wait, isn't she the strong, independent female lead? Why is she still relying on a man?" Another fired back, "Are you dumb? Why shouldn't a woman take shortcuts? You want her to grind herself into dust just to prove a point? End up broken, aged, and still be told she didn't try hard enough? Relying on a man doesn't cancel out independence, got it? I couldn't help but laugh out loud. Fine, let them think whatever they want. People can teach, but it won't stick. One lesson from life, and you'll never forget. Just because you were reborn, you think you automatically get a head start? Money and power in this world are like viruses. They only spread through blood or sex. You know what's profitable, you know what's in high demand, but why you? You want to swallow 2 of Arthur Corporation's core projects? What a pipe dream. After getting turned away again and again, Victoria finally woke up. Gone was her earlier arrogance. She wiped away tears of humiliation from the corner of her eyes. Then, as if making a hard decision, she asked, "Can you help us?" We need funding," I replied, mimicking her own lines with amusement. "Arthur, don't you dare regret this. I won't take a single cent from you." "What? Money makes you all-powerful now. I didn't even want to come here." I repeated her exact words back to her. "Need me to say it again?" Victoria bit her lip. "I know you're angry, but if you're willing to help this time, you can do whatever you want to me." "Stop right there." I snapped the proposal shut with a loud clap. I asked, "What are we now, Victoria?" She looked at me with complicated eyes. "I'll be your obedient girlfriend," she said. I curled my lips, then picked up the proposal and smashed it across her head. Pages flying like confetti. Amid the fluttering mess, I sneered. "Dream on, Victoria. We're just classmates. Look at this garbage of a proposal. Even my foot could write a better one. You think this crap deserves my investment?" I raised a brow. The pitiful little classmate bond we share isn't worth the kind of money you'll never make in your entire life. Victoria panicked. She crouched down and scrambled to gather the scattered pages, as if piecing together more than just paper, maybe her dignity. Sniffling, she whispered, "Arthur, I admit it. I need you. Happy now? I really need this money." I stared coldly at her fumbling and offered my honest evaluation of her absurd pride. "You really are just like your mother. A kept canary who thought getting pregnant would let her climb the ladder and stage a coup. Pathetic." Victoria froze. The paper slipped through her fingers again. Her shoulders trembled, eyes red. She said, "You weren't like this before. How could you say that to me?" I replied flatly, "You planning to live in the past your whole life?" And not just the past, it was that past life too. The one where I loved her and she basked in luxury. She stared at me, eyes burning. No longer picking up the papers, she stood up and turned to leave. With a scoff, she said over her shoulder, "Just wait, Arthur. One day you'll respect me. We'll see." She stumbled as she walked away. I twirled the pen in my hand. A sudden idea came to mind. She looked so pitiful. I almost felt a little bad for her. Almost. Fine then. I called in my assistant and said in a low voice, "Trash should stay with trash. Isn't there still a table full of the old cronies my late brother used to cozy up to on the board? Set something up. See if you can get them all in one room. If she takes the bait, that's on her." The assistant instantly understood what I meant and shivered. I said all this casually, then turned my eyes to the bullet comments. They were flying across the screen, rapid bursts. "This is too much. Seriously, too much. She's already so pitiful, and you're still bullying her? Are you even human? Do you know how much pride she swallowed to come see you? How much it cost her emotionally? Vicious male supporting role. Just go die already." I calmly read through the furious insults. Once my assistant left the room, I grinned and said playfully, "What's this? Mad now? Angry? Triggered? You've hated me for so long. Why haven't you punished me yet? Or is it because you can't?" The bullet comments went eerily quiet for a second. I basked in the rare silence of the screen, then said with a smile, "Oh, so it's that. You can't, Ever since I threw Victoria out last time, I had her blacklisted. So how did she still walk freely into Arthur Corp and appear before me? Obviously, because I let her. I wanted to confirm something. Whether these bullet comments from a so-called higher dimensional reality could do anything besides scream at me from behind a screen. Well, the answer was obvious. I said aloud, "Higher dimensional beings?" I didn't even bother to hide my contempt. I sneered and spat out, a bunch of bloodless mosquitoes buzzing in my ear. "What makes you think you're better than me? You clearly can't protect her, but tell me, can you even protect yourselves?" I burst into laughter, genuinely pleased. "I'm really curious." At that moment, the email icon blinked, a message from yesterday. It was about the project with Anna. There had been progress. Chapter 8. From that day on, the bullet comments fell into an eerie silence. Only a few would occasionally pop up, such as, "How could low-dimensional beings ever threaten us? What's going on? This isn't satisfying at all. Didn't they say this was a dominant female power fantasy story? That's why I clicked in. Why is the female lead working at a convenience store in the morning, a cafeteria at noon, and washing dishes at night? The female lead looks like she's living a miserable life, and even her luck stat is dropping." Whether Victoria felt miserable or not, I couldn't say. But I had just added another million in investment. Lying comfortably on a handcrafted, custom mattress, checking the latest research progress via email while casually answering Anna's video call, she blinked, gave a slight smile, and asked, "Is the data clear enough?" I couldn't help flipping through it once again, genuine amusement flickering in my eyes. As expected of a professional, the progress over these past 2 months had been phenomenal. The data in my hands laid out a detailed theoretical analysis and possibilities for the origin of the bullet comets. Anna's voice was cool and crisp. To put it simply, you can think of the bullet comets as players from a 3-dimensional world observing a 2-dimensional one through frequency resonance. Part of their consciousness is projected in quantum form. The stability of the resonance stems from a delicate balance between underlying information entropy and spacetime curvature. Due to a particular anomaly, your brainwave refraction frequency happens to match theirs, which is why you can see the comets. We've already found ways to interfere with or even control this stream of information. Please don't try to fact-check this. The author's just making stuff up. I nodded in understanding. That anomaly most likely was Victoria's rebirth. At this point, I genuinely didn't know whether Victoria was lucky or terribly unlucky. I sighed. Looks like we might make a fortune off of this. I really ought to thank Victoria. Anna chuckled softly. "Mr. Arthur, you truly are a clever man." Hearing the sincerity in Anna's voice, I couldn't help glancing at her a few more times. The dappled light filtering through the sycamore leaves quietly accompanied her silhouette. Anna squinted slightly, her tone taking on a strange lilt. She said, "If it were possible." I caught a glint of coldness in her eyes. She said, "I'd really love to dissect her, study her thoroughly." The corner of my mouth twitched. Anna smiled faintly and added, "Just kidding. I'm not some mad scientist. By the way, my brother said you were nominated again for this year's national scholarship." I nodded, "Yeah." She said, "Congratulations." Her voice hesitated for a moment. "So, would you like to celebrate together sometime?" But before she could finish her sentence, there was a loud knock at the door, so forceful that the door shook with the impact, as if something urgent had happened. I gestured to Anna that we'd talk later, quickly got up, and opened the door. I stared in surprise at the people in front of me. It was Kenji and Victoria. Chapter 9. The first person I saw was Kenji. Victoria followed beside him, her eyes evasive, like an accessory to the scene. Kenji gritted his teeth and said, "Arthur, I have something to talk to you about. Mind if I come in?" I looked at him strangely and said, "Come in." The very next second, bang. Kenji dropped to his knees. He clutched my leg, looked up at me, and said, "Arthur, could you let me have the national scholarship?" Kenji was the other nominee. Before I could react, he banged his head on the floor again, his tone groveling. "Arthur, I'm not asking for anything else, just this one thing. I want to study abroad. I'm begging you, please, have mercy. This is my only shot. I know you're rich. You don't need the money or the honor. Please don't compete with me for this. Just this once, all right?" I was speechless. Victoria tugged on Kenji, trying to pull him up, but he wouldn't budge. I looked down, cutting off his rambling. I asked, "And what exactly are you right now, talking to me like this? A beggar? A classmate? Or some poor soul railing against the unfairness of fate?" I yanked my leg away and said coldly, "Because you don't seem to be acting like just a fellow student, nor do you have the proper attitude of someone asking for a favor. So why are you here? Just to humiliate yourself? Wasn't it you who laughed and said, 'What could I possibly do to you?'" Kenji stumbled backward as I kicked him off. The next second, he burst into loud sobs, crying and whining all at once. He wailed, "Arthur, I was wrong. I'm sorry. It was my fault. But I was just ignorant and foolish. I was jealous. Jealous that you're rich, that you're good at studying, that even the teachers and students think you deserve the national scholarship." His voice choked with emotion. "Arthur, Please reconsider. Just think it over again, okay? If I get the money, I'll do whatever you want. I'll listen to everything you say. I'll work like a slave for you, serve you like a loyal dog. I'll respect you like my own father. I don't want to lose this opportunity. I know I'm shameless like this, but I want this money so badly. I dream about it. I want it more than anything. I was still speechless. He went on, I just want to chase my dreams. What's wrong with pursuing a dream? I frowned and said, so if you're not wrong, I must be. I was floored by his logic and casually picked up the transcript lying on the table. I said, the scholarship is based on this. Earned through merit. I'm not your dad. Why should I coddle you? Kenji froze. His eyes darted around before he replied. But you were born at the top of the pyramid. You don't understand what it's like for us poor people, how hard it is to get a shot at changing our fate. I was unmoved and shoved the transcript right in his face. Kenji, knowing he was in the wrong, didn't reply. Instead, he turned and tugged at Victoria, giving her a look. He said, Victoria, say something for me. I know you and Arthur are close. Please, ask him to help me, okay? Victoria's face was pale from eating and sleeping poorly. She looked even thinner than before. She looked at Kenji, groveling at my feet, and then at me, towering over them both. And in pain, she turned her face away, unwilling to look any longer. Kenji's face was pale as a sheet as he tugged on her pleadingly. Victoria finally turned back, opened her mouth to speak. I immediately mimicked her tone in a mocking, sarcastic drawl. I'll make sure you respect me one day, Arthur. Victoria's face flushed bright red from holding her breath. She lowered her head and tried to pull Kenji up. Biting her lip, she said, have some pride. Don't kneel to someone like him. Let's go, I'll think of something. We'll find a way, we don't need his help. Something in her words must have hit a nerve in Kenji. His rage flared in an instant. He shoved Victoria aside and snapped. Pride? What the hell is pride worth? Do you even realize the application deadline is next month and you think you'll come up with something? What can you even do besides having a pretty face? Seriously, where do you get that confidence? It's easy to talk big when you're not the one suffering. Always acting like you're above the world, like some ethereal princess. People might really think you're some pampered heiress. We grew up together, and yet you won't even speak up for me in front of Arthur. What good are you? Kenji cast one last hateful glance at both me and Victoria. Seeing there was no chance I'd say yes, he stormed out and slammed the door behind him. The bullet comments floated in. The female lead said her family urgently needed money, so she borrowed the male lead's savings mint for studying abroad. But later he found out she spent it all on luxury goods and fancy restaurants. That's why he finally snapped. Another said, well, what did you expect? She lived like royalty in her past life. You can't expect her to lower her standards just because she's dating the male lead. If that's the case, might as well stay single then. One summed it up. At the end of the day, it's the male side character's fault. He should have just given her the money and none of this would have happened. I couldn't help but laugh. I turned to Victoria and said, seems being your boyfriend is a tough gig. Loaded, he's a hero. Broke, he's a zero. Another bullet comment chimed in. Petty men get cocky too easily. Don't get too full of yourself. And another replied, yeah, at least someone saw potential and invested in the protagonist. The progress is just a little slow, that's all. Wait for the leads to reconcile and slap your face hard. Victoria looked like a lost soul. The once proud ice queen was no longer proud. Just as she opened her mouth to say something to me, the still open video call suddenly crackled to life as Anna spoke up. Two selfish people together? What kind of disaster wouldn't happen? She stomped on Victoria metaphorically without even blinking. Victoria sharply turned to the phone, her expression twisted. It was as if something clicked inside her. She seemed to have found a reason, something to convince herself. That reason bizarrely breathed new life into her in the form of jealousy. She snapped bitterly. Arthur, so you've got someone new now? Is that why you don't like me as much anymore? Anna, resting her cheek on her hand in the video call, smiled. And what does that have to do with you? You think you're even worthy of being compared to me? I glanced at Victoria but didn't deny Anna's subtle claim, and I took the opportunity to kick Victoria out. Victoria's face turned red as a beet. She said, fine, 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 in rapid succession. Bang. The door slammed shut. I smiled at Anna through the video call, playing innocent. Thanks. I didn't feel like wasting words on her anyway. Anna nodded slightly, eyes downcast, saying nothing for a moment. Everything was utterly silent except for the rhythmic clatter of Anna typing on her keyboard. Chapter 10. After I wrapped up everything related to the university scholarship, I shifted my full focus to the project Anna and I were developing. Over the past 6 months, Victoria had shown some signs of recovery. Many people quietly speculated that she was being backed by some major capital. Otherwise, how could her sources be so accurate? I simply smiled and left her alone. I heard Kenji had gotten back together with her too. Benjamin glanced at me, hunched over my desk preparing for the product launch, and couldn't help but sip his tea and ask, "Is everything going smoothly with the launch prep?" I sat down, took a brief break with him, and sipped some tea as well. The subtle fragrance of the tea filled my senses, and I couldn't help but squint my eyes in relaxed satisfaction. "Everything's on track," I said. Benjamin picked up his phone, opened the forum, pointed at a particular post, and asked, "Then why don't you take care of this? Need me to help?" I waved my hand and said, "No need." I added, "The higher they climb, the harder they fall." Benjamin looked at me for a moment, then suddenly chuckled. He said slowly, "Not necessarily. If you ask me, you're the type with a fierce tiger in your heart and the gentleness to admire a rose. Maybe it's not about watching her fall, it's that you value talent, so you left her a sliver of a chance. Like when you recently doubled the funding for Q University's financial aid program." I met his gaze, then leaned back on the couch, stretched out lazily, and said, "You guessed wrong. I was just in a good mood. Because at this press conference, we were going to reveal the results of Anna's and my project. We had achieved a breakthrough. By utilizing specific wave frequencies, we could control the projection of bullet comments. I had tested it on myself and successfully proved it could be done. A day, I finally said goodbye to the bullet comments. I gave them the middle finger. Using that special frequency, I even drew a little ant for them. Those who view others as ants will one day become ants themselves. Your arrogance has become a gold mine for the ants you look down upon. How does that feel? What can you do to me? Bunch of clowns." Sent those words right back to them exactly as they once mocked me, and without waiting for a reply, I hit the block button permanently. Damn bullet comments. Just a swarm of buzzing mosquitoes. From now on, they can talk to themselves. Once I dealt with the bullet comments, Anna and I immediately dived into applying the special frequency to a brand new field of research. I could already imagine how after the results were announced, investments would come pouring in like a flood. It was thrilling. Compared to this level of achievement and investment, whatever little noise Victoria was making was utterly irrelevant. This sense of satisfaction was so intoxicating that when Victoria reached out to me for once, I surprisingly didn't reject her right away. Chapter 11. Over the past 6 months, Victoria had tried to contact me multiple times, all of which I rejected. I hadn't seen her in a long while. She stared at me intently, eyes twisting with emotion. Pressing her lips together, she said, "So you're finally willing to see me? Are you still with that woman?" I frowned. "What exactly are you hung up on? Why are you still the same as before, whining about pointless things the moment you see me? Did reality beat you down so hard that now you regret it?" Victoria snapped. "Yes, I regret it. So what? Arthur, do you have to treat me like this? I'm only saying this because we were in a relationship for 3 years. I regret everything. Can't you break up with her?" I let out a cold laugh. 3 years? In your dreams, maybe. Her expression froze. I rather enjoyed seeing her look so miserable with nothing to say. Victoria's face fell, voice full of grievance. "So you're not willing to break up with her, huh? You're so cruel to me. It's all because of that woman, right? We were meant to be together." I didn't play along with her delusions. I just kept pressing her where it hurt. I smiled and said, "Us together?" If Kenji heard that, wouldn't he blow a fuse? She froze, then lifted her eyes hopefully, gaze burning with intensity. "We're just friends, that's all. I only stood up for him because I couldn't stand watching you bully him back then." I raised an eyebrow. "That's not what you used to say," she said. "Arthur." Her eyes turned red, like someone who had been holding on too long and was finally about to collapse. Choking up, she said, "It's because I loved you. I didn't want you to look down on me. People like me, born poor, were already a step below people like you. But I didn't want to stay beneath you forever. I didn't want to be dependent on you. I wanted to have my own pride." I wanted to stand beside you as an equal. I suddenly let out a sharp laugh. So, those bullet comments were you? Lost to me in your past life because you were a hopeless romantic with no sense of reason. Those pupils shrank violently. I yawned and slowly stood up, towering over her. I pinched her chin and said, my voice full of cold pity, you didn't love me. You loved my money. You loved my power. It's only now that reality has beat you into the ground that you're suddenly remembering how good I was. I don't know exactly how you lost in your past life, but greedy people who always want more than they deserve, there are only a few ways I deal with them. Want to try them again this time around? Whether it was new resentment or old grudges, Victoria's eyes first showed shock, then fear, then came fury, and finally, utter collapse. She stared at me blankly and whispered, You know everything, Arthur. I never wanted things to go this far. You knew all along. It's your fault. You pushed me. You forced me. So don't blame me for being ruthless. I couldn't figure out how she even jumped to that conclusion. Maybe I really had been too kind to her in my last life. But that was all in the past now. I turned away and said, If you've got issues, go get help. A defective gold digger who can't even pull off emotional manipulation properly. What a joke. I sighed. I gave you a chance. You just didn't have what it takes. But now I'm curious. What else do you have up your sleeve? Go ahead and try me. Chapter 12. My press conference was held right on schedule. It was destined to be a groundbreaking event, an announcement that would define an era. A revolutionary new form of communication, breakthrough holographic gaming technology, a brand new way of storing information. This frequency technology had the potential to generate endless wealth and benefit all of humanity. Those who once attacked me, in the end, every one of their words became prophetic. Only, they turned out to be the bricks paving the foundation of my commercial empire. My personal value skyrocketed. For a time, I was at the peak of public attention, praised as the most visionary and daring investor entrepreneur of the generation. Amidst the flashing lights of countless journalists, cameras, and media coverage, the stage lights of the press conference lit up. Everything was ready. But just before I stepped on stage, chaos broke out. Reporters in the audience suddenly shifted in demeanor. The crowd began whispering, murmurs spreading like wildfire. Then I saw them, Victoria and Kenji, sitting among the audience. Benjamin burst backstage in a fury. His face was livid with rage. I swear I'm going to skin them alive, Arthur. I told you not to be soft with them. Look at this. He shoved his phone toward me. On the screen was a trending topic climbing rapidly in the rankings. It had originated from Q University's campus forum, but had now gone viral beyond the school. The Arthur Corporation CEO bullying his classmates. It was everywhere. My past words directed at Kenji and Victoria had sparked massive outrage online. Netizens commented, rich and heartless. The reckoning is coming. So us ordinary folks just deserve to be humiliated? I hate bullying. My little brother developed depression from being bullied in school. Bullies deserve to rot in hell. Several of the old board members of Arthur Corp had banded together, launching a movement within the company's internal network to remove me from my position. Their official information leaks. They accused me of leaking confidential strategic plans that only I had access to. They were calling it criminal. Arthur Corp's recently soaring stock prices began to dip. There were early signs of a potential collapse. I patted Benjamin on the shoulder, trying to calm him down. He was so enraged he was multitasking, posting on forums under 5-burner accounts while also dialing PR contacts to try and remove the trending posts. I gave him a reassuring look. He finally calmed down. He took a deep breath and muttered, Right? I got so pissed I forgot you're not the type to go into battle unprepared. Chapter 13. Under the gaze of thousands, I walked onto the stage. Every step calm and steady. The first microphone that jabbed in my face came with no politeness. Sharp words flew at me. President Arthur, regardless of what you're announcing, no matter how beneficial it might be to humanity, integrity comes first. Especially since you now hold technology with the potential to fabricate reality and infringe upon human rights and privacy. After all this controversy, how can the public trust you to be a truly ethical entrepreneur? Victoria and Kenji, both wearing baseball caps, looked up from the crowd and smirked at me provocatively. I smiled too, calm, confident, in control. I raised my hand and pressed the switch on the display screen. That, I said, I have nothing to say. Let the facts speak for themselves. A sudden commotion filled the room. Footage from a hidden pinhole camera lit up the screen, filming a seemingly empty corner. In the video, Kenji said, "Arthur, people really are different, We were born on the same day, and yet just because you're rich, you're the only one everyone remembers. Sometimes I really envy you. So today, I'm giving you a very special gift." Smash, smash, smash. The sound of shattering bottles played on loop, cut through the noise and silenced the entire room. Only the echo of breaking glass lingered in the air. I pressed pause. The screen froze on the frame of Kenji smashing a bottle over his own head. I smiled. I suppose the difference between a human and a monkey is that humans use technology. So, to my dear classmate Kenji, who tried to expose me, did you really try to twist the truth without knowing even this? Kenji, Victoria blurted out instinctively. That's impossible. Kenji said that private restaurant values discretion. There were no cameras. I remained expressionless. Looks like even in her past life, Victoria didn't really know me. I fought my way to the top of the Arthur family. How could I ever leave no trace? I adjusted the microphone in front of me and cleared my throat, pretending to be shocked. Wait, the Victoria you mentioned? I'm stunned. You two are that close. That's surprising, especially since she's currently under internal investigation, filed just last week for corporate espionage. The moment I finished speaking, the once silent venue erupted like oil splashed into fire. Chaos exploded across the floor. Sirens wailed. Everything happened so fast. My legal team, trained like a strike force, descended on the scene, carrying the weight of justice. By the time the silver handcuffs clicked shut around Victoria and Kenji's wrists, most people still hadn't caught up. Corporate illegal fundraising. My executive assistant distributed documents to every reporter present. President Arthur filed this report a week ago. The involved parties include several Arthur Corporation shareholders and Victoria. As for Kenji, he's been charged with defamation and rumor-mongering. His false posts have been shared over 5,000 times, causing severe reputational damage to President Arthur and the company. That report was filed just an hour ago. President Arthur originally wanted to keep things low profile out of respect for past classmate ties, but this situation affects the company's stock price. He has a duty to act. I clapped softly, amused. Frogs who think they've seen daylight for the first time believe they understand how the game is played. But the truth is, the real hunter's net had already been cast. Thorough, silent, and vast. It was laid the moment Victoria came begging for help. All that remained was to wait for the right moment to extract maximum value from the prey. They were given every chance, and they took the bait. From the bullet comments to Victoria herself, they had all served their purpose. Now that everything useful had been squeezed out, trash belongs back in the trash. I leaned forward and cleared my throat more firmly. I said, "Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be postponing the press conference by 30 minutes. When that time comes, may we cheer for technological advancement, not waste time on petty drama. I, Arthur, am a man of action. I don't rely on flowery speeches. What I bring you is solid technology, and time will prove everything." The crowd fell silent once more, then erupted into thunderous applause. In the next half hour, cameras flashed non-stop and reporters scribbled frantically at lightning speed. It seemed Victoria and Kenji were finally getting their wish to become celebrities. Victoria struggled as she was led away, looking completely lost, unable to comprehend how everything had flipped on its head so suddenly. Just before she was taken out, she turned back, eyes glistening red, and called out, "Arthur." But her voice was abruptly cut off. I raised my hand to my lips and mouthed silently but coldly, "Who gave you permission to challenge me?" In that moment, Victoria looked as though she had been struck by lightning. She understood. Everything had been orchestrated from the very beginning. All her strength seemed to drain from her body. Only one dazed sentence escaped her lips, and I read it clearly from her mouth. She said, "Arthur, you win. You've sent me to prison again." I chuckled softly, my eyes glinting with mockery and perfect clarity. I said, "You deserved it." So that was how she ended in her past life too. She hadn't learned a single thing. The ones I fear most are the fools who are endlessly greedy and the greedy who foolishly think they're in control. I disposed of them with casual ease, like brushing aside the kind of nuisance too insignificant to care about. Then I turned back to the reporters and said, "Well then, I'll see you all again in 30 minutes." In that half hour, someone's entire fate would be turned upside down. But whether they lived or died, what did that have to do with me? This game, I had won. I was the victor. Chapter 14. The press conference went smoothly. Anna and Benjamin both hugged me. Benjamin slipped between me and Anna, shoved a bouquet into my hands, then casually stepped aside to stand next to me. Anna and I were standing very close. The dazzled glow in her eyes from witnessing everything that had just happened hadn't faded yet. Smiling, I picked up the thread of a conversation we'd never finished. Handing her the bouquet, I said, "Miss Sue, in celebration of the successful launch and the boundless profits ahead, may I have the honor of treating you to a meal?" Anna Sue took the flowers and inhaled their fragrance deeply, nodding firmly. Tilting her head slightly, she teased, "So, President Arthur, flowers and dinner? Are you trying to confess to me?" I paused, took off my glasses and cleaned them thoughtfully. "If I were," I said, "would you still go?" She blinked playfully. "Well, who knows? Life's full of infinite possibilities, after all." I looked into her eyes, sharp, certain, confident, just like mine. In the end, we did have dinner together, but no, we didn't end up together. I never broke the illusion, never said what could have been said because I agreed with what Anna had said. Life is full of infinite possibilities, isn't it? The past had rushed by in a blur, and I would not pause for people or things unworthy. Ahead of me lies a road still wrapped in the unknown. It could be someone new. It could be the expansion of my business empire. It could be my boundless ambition. I brushed the old snow off my shoulders and walked toward a future filled with so much more waiting for me.